I'm on my way to go give a short presentation, about 15 minutes long, on my business. A little background on why I'm giving this presentation and why I've been asked is because last year in 2023, I was a recipient of a grant, a small business grant for Native American business owners in the state of Montana. Every year, the Department of Commerce gives out grants to people starting up a small business or small businesses that are already in existence, up to $14,000. And in 2022, I applied for it. And with the 14,000 that you apply for, it has to be like a 1-to-1 match. So you have to have $14,000 worth of, business inventory. In my case, it was camera gear, mostly video production stuff. And so in 2022, I applied for it. I ended up getting the grant, and that's how I bought last year. That's how I bought my FX6. I think I used the funds to buy an FX6, a FX30, and a really expensive tripod. And that was pretty much what all of the money went to. And I bought a couple other smaller things. And since then, I've been asked a few times to, if they could use my business as I guess like a success story from the grant. So I've been, I guess, interviewed once for a newspaper, and then a couple of the people that work for the state, wanted to include my business in a newsletter. And then today I've been asked to share more or less just about my business and my experience being a recipient of the grant. And so that's where I am headed today, over in Wolf Point. And it's just I think I got 15 minutes to speak. They did say we could use a PowerPoint presentation, but I missed the deadline to submit it. I've just been too busy working on other things. So basically just going to go off the dome for better or for worse. And a lot of times people will try and say that gear doesn't matter, but it does a little bit. It has to. And so I'm trying to find a place to park. So in order to provide a quality service, it's gonna take some time, and it's gonna take some money. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna talk about is my journey from starting out with minimal gear to building up the gear list that I have now. Because I live in Montana, rural Montana at that. I live on the res. Like, I don't have access to camera shops where I can go rent gear. Like, I need to own it. This grant helped me do that. It just helped me do it quicker, and the application process was lengthy. It took me probably about 5 or 6 weeks to complete it. It was a headache, but in the end, it was all worth it. I had someone helping me out. A mentor helped, walk me through the application process and all the things that I needed, which was extremely helpful, and I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, I gotta go in. I'm a little nervous, but I think I could do okay because it's only 15 minutes long. Yeah, so I go to the meeting and I sit in the back of the room, and there was another business that was presenting before me. So I was just able to sit back and listen about how they started their business, which is always great to hear, the thought process of how you go about structuring your business. I love hearing other people's stories. Hello, my name's Scott Smoker. I run Smoke Signal Studio. Like they said, it's a small video production company, and by small I mean it's just me. I'm a one-man band. I was talking to my brother Bryce here earlier about video, and I told him, a lot of times when I'm trying to sell myself to people, I always, if I'm pitching my services to different businesses and stuff, I always tell them, it's a lot better to show people what you're doing, rather than just telling them about it. And unfortunately, I didn't take my own advice. I don't have a PowerPoint ready. So I'm just going to have to talk about what I do instead of showing it. But so then I pretty much just went on to talk about how I got started in the video production business, the clients that I primarily serve, and also how the funds from the grant helped, kind of accelerate my business. That's kind of what I talked about. And the meeting that's taking place here is a tribal economic development commission meeting through the state of Montana, and their board members are made up of tribal members from the 8 different tribes around Montana, along with some other state officials. So these folks right here are exactly the types of people that I want to be in front of talking about my business to. Now, I know I just wrapped up my series where I was filming at all the different farms throughout Montana. I wouldn't say those are like my typical clients. I've kind of built my business on working with, or I've kind of built my business around working in tribal communities. Prior to me landing that job with the state, working for all the different farms, I would say about like 80 to 90% of my work involves me working with other Native Americans, other tribal communities. So to be in this meeting with these people talking about my business, it's right up my alley. My services cater kind of to their needs. So I was very thankful to have been asked to present here. And then after I finished my presentation, I was asked to stay because later on in the meeting, they were going to be discussing a project for the Montana Tribal Tourism Program and their need for video content in this upcoming year. I think they're doing a media campaign focusing on tourism specifically for the 8 different tribal nations that reside in Montana, or for the reservations in Montana. So I stayed for that, and they were looking for native filmmakers and photographers from Montana to help make that project happen. So this meeting that I'm presenting at here, it took place back in August, and I'm just now getting around to editing this video and uploading it, and it's December now. But the production company that's in charge of the media campaign for this tribal tourism project, they actually reached out to me last week, and it looks like I'll be working on that, helping work on that project, or at least be involved with it somehow, filming, which is great. I probably can't say too much about it, but it'll be taking place at various times throughout 2025. And it was interesting because I went there hoping to make some connections by highlighting my services and how I can help others. And here we are now a few months later, and there's a high probability that I landed some work through this. And I kind of reflected on that on the drive home. One of the reasons why I was excited to do it was, it's a lot of time it's at events like this where, you meet new people. I looked at it as a networking opportunity. And of course, I met a couple different people that said they were interested in the work that I do. And potentially may have found some potential clients to work with, which is great. And I don't do these types of things solely for that purpose, because I feel like that can be a little disingenuous. But I know in doing events like this, eventually someone's going to hear about what you do and want to work with you. And sometimes it takes, months or even a year for that to come to fruition. But I always try and take advantage of opportunities like this where I can share with others what I do and hopefully, be of service to them or provide something valuable to them. And it's always great to meet new people, to talk with different people. Overall, I think the talk went good. I talked for about the full 15 minutes. A couple people asked me questions. I had a really good time. I always struggle with things like this. I feel like I'm not that great of a public speaker. I'm not that great of a speaker in general. But if I know what I'm talking about, it makes it a little easier. And I was grateful for the opportunity to share my business with others.